Be me, 27, figured out I liked women back when I was in college, and I told myself men were never an option. I was never attracted to them, and honestly thought they were a threat to society. I liked how girls made me feel safe, like they understood me. A man could never do the same. They'd expect to sleep with you after buying dinner, whereas women never expect much, or at least I think. And they actually believe in equality, which was what I loved most. I haven't had too much real experience with women though, just a couple of flings in college, messy nights, nothing that lasted, and I always told myself it didn't count because it wasn't serious. I guess part of me always liked being the more masculine one. Shorter hair, button-downs instead of dresses, it just felt natural, and I liked how it made me stand out without having to explain myself. Years later, I still catch myself wondering if I've wasted too much time, and I started thinking maybe I should actually try, not just talk about it. I kept replaying this one name in my head. Jess. Someone I used to know. Jess was an old friend from college. We'd had chemistry, but never acted on it, though we stayed in touch here and there, mostly online, little comments and story replies. One night, I finally asked if she wanted to come out with me. Not just coffee, not dinner either. My office happy hour. They host it every year, usually open invite, loud and easygoing. They host the venue, but you gotta cover your own food and drinks, and I thought it'd be a nice way to see her again, without pressure. She replied almost instantly, said it sounded fun, and my heart jumped like I was 19 again. The night comes, and I'm more nervous than I expected. Earlier that day, I told my roommate Edward about it. Couldn't hide my excitement, said I was finally seeing Jess again, and if things went well, maybe I'd finally get pampered for once. Edward gave me this look, half amused, half pitying, and said, "Pampered? If you're the one dressing like the guy, don't expect her to spoil you." I rolled my eyes so hard, told him he didn't get it. Women aren't like men, they actually care about equality. He just shrugged. "We'll see. But you're setting yourself up," and I laughed it off, said he was bitter and didn't understand, but still, his words stuck with me longer than I wanted to admit. I spent way too long getting ready, changed outfits 3 times, settled on slacks and a button down, told myself it looked sharp, not try hard. Jess showed up in a sundress, light and soft. We looked like opposites, and walking in with her felt good, like I wasn't the single one anymore. The place was buzzing, patio heaters, crowded tables, the kind of energy you can hide in, and I thought it would be the perfect environment for her to meet people. I ordered first, maybe a little too eager, made sure to tip big. A co-worker smirked. "Look at you showing off tonight." And another laughed. "She brought a date. Of course she's paying." Jess brushed my arm and said she liked that I was decisive, and the table jumped on it. "Protector energy? She's the stable one. We love it." I laughed along, pretending it was flattering, but it felt like they were pinning a role on me. The teasing didn't stop. Every round of drinks came with a side comment. "Big spender. Don't let her card decline. Keep her if she covers the table." The server dropped the check folio squarely in front of me. No hesitation. A little wink, like it was obvious who'd take care of it, and the whole table went silent for a beat, then everyone looked away. Jess squeezed my shoulder, soft voice. "Thank you, babe." And someone else chimed in. Driver, wallet, protector, all in one package. They laughed, but it didn't feel like a joke anymore, and I caught myself thinking, wait, why did everyone just assume I had to pay? For a split second, I pictured Edward's smug face, like he'd called this exact moment. But I shoved the thought away, told myself he didn't understand women like I did. I swiped my card without blinking, though my chest tightened the second I hit confirm. Later, when we ordered the Uber, it was on me too. Nobody even asked. I guess I was just taking care of things for the night. But it's alright, I guess. Jess and I spoke quite a bit and got on alright. On the ride home, Jess mentioned wanting to get away for the weekend. Just something small, a drive out of the city, nothing fancy. Then she mentioned a concert nearby she wanted to see that Saturday night. Not even a band I really knew, but I nodded along like it sounded fun, told her we could plan it, book it, make it easy. She smiled and leaned into me, said she loved how happy-go-lucky I was. Then it hit me. We weren't even official, just met again after years. Wasn't it too fast to already be planning a trip together? I caught myself wondering if that meant I'd be paying for everything. Then I brushed it off, told myself, nah, she'll split with me later. I just have to cover the first part, show I'm steady, then it'll balance out. I even asked her what kind of budget we should stick to. She just smiled and said she didn't care, as long as it was a nice place. I took that as a good sign, figured she'd cover her share later. By the time I got home, I was already looking at Airbnbs and routes. I'd also bought the concert tickets for the both of us, figured it'd make her happy. Later that night, when I got back, Edward was still up on the couch. He asked how it went, if Jess was as fun as I'd hoped. I told him it was fine, we talked a lot, got along all right, but I couldn't shake the way everyone at the table just assumed I was paying. Edward smirked. Yeah, sounds about right. I snapped back, told him he was being cynical again, but he shrugged. You wanted equality, remember? This is what it looks like when it's not equal. I rolled my eyes, said he was being dramatic, told him Jess actually liked that I was decisive, called me stable. Edward just laughed. Stable means wallet, by the way. I felt a twinge in my chest, but shoved it down, said he didn't understand. Then I told him Jess already wanted to do a weekend trip together. He raised his eyebrows. Already? You barely reconnected? That's moving fast. I brushed him off, said he was paranoid, that women weren't like men, they actually cared about balance. He leaned back, muttered, All right, just don't cry when you find out the bill isn't balanced. I'm handling it just fine. It's gonna be fun, we're going on a trip, making memories. I hated the way he said it, like he knew something I didn't, told him he was bitter, and I wasn't gonna let him ruin it for me. Like seriously, how do they even say it's hard being the masculine one? Edward just gave me that look again, the one that says he's holding back and I told you so. I laughed, waved him off, told him men complain about nothing. This would be proof. If anything, being the stable one was easy when it's with someone who cares about equality. Fast forward to the night before our getaway. Jess texted me, What time are you picking me up? I stared at it for a second. Hadn't even thought about rides yet. I guess I just assumed we'd meet up, or maybe she'd drive too, but instead it was already framed like I was her chauffeur. I didn't argue, just said I'd grab her in the morning. Next morning, I pulled up to her place and we hit the road. She climbed in, tossed me the aux like it was automatic. I told myself it was fine, tried to make it feel romantic, me handling the drive, her getting comfortable, scrolling her phone half asleep. But in the back of my head I thought, wait, didn't I already cover her drinks the other night? Shouldn't she at least offer to drive this time? Instead, she just handed me the keys like it was obvious I'd be the one behind the wheel, and I felt a little taken aback, but I kept my mouth shut. The tolls beeped, gas tank drained, little charges stacking on my card. I bragged about snagging the perfect Airbnb, said it like a gift, but the hold was already sitting in my banking app, eating at my balance. We finally pulled up to the Airbnb, little cabin with a balcony view of the hills. I felt proud of myself, thought it was the perfect mix of cozy and private, but Jess walked in, glanced around once, and her face dropped. She ran her hand over the coffee table, laughed, said it felt cheap, like a college rental. Then she pointed at the couch, wrinkled her nose. Kinda tacky, don't you think? The way she said it made it feel less like an opinion and more like a jab at my taste. I tried to brush it off, told her I thought it had charm, the view alone was worth it, but she shrugged, rolled her eyes, and said, Tomorrow let's just switch to a hotel instead, something nicer. I blinked, reminded her I'd already booked this place for the whole weekend. She just laughed and said, Yeah, but you're the planner. You like doing that stuff, don't you? Like it was obvious my job was to fix it, no matter the cost. I smiled weakly, told myself not to make it a big deal, but inside my chest tightened, the pride I'd felt about the place shriveling up. I couldn't tell if she was being picky or if I'd genuinely messed up, started second-guessing myself. Was the furniture really that bad? Did the place look cheap? Maybe I didn't know how to pick things right after all. Either way, the way she dismissed it so fast stung more than I wanted to admit. But maybe that's just her personality? I mean, women aren't supposed to be this demanding, right? Next morning, we headed out to grab breakfast and some groceries. The road was quiet. I was actually enjoying the drive, telling myself the weekend was off to a good start. Then suddenly, on the way home, the warning light flicked on, low tire pressure, and before I could react, there was a loud thump, literal comedic timing. I pulled over onto the gravel shoulder, heart sinking as I felt the car dip. Jess groaned like I'd inconvenienced her. She didn't even move from her seat. She just glanced at the dash, smirked. Well, guess this is your job, right? You've got more muscle anyway. Couldn't believe my ears, man. I forced a laugh, tried to make it sound like a joke, but it landed flat. I popped the trunk, dragged out the jack and spare, crouched down in the dust. Lug nuts wouldn't budge, my palms were burning, sweat running down my back already. Jess stayed in the car with the AC on, scrolling her phone like we were in an Uber. After a while, she cracked the window, poked her head out, and said, "Hey, almost done. We don't want the ice cream to melt," like I was taking too long with her grocery order, not bleeding on the side of the road. Finally pried the tire off, slipped and caught my hand on the steel edge, smeared blood across a fast food napkin, wrapped it tight, kept working. Jess laughed. "Oh my god, you're literally like a mechanic right now," and snapped a picture of the busted tire for her story, captioned it, "Road trip drama lol," with a crying emoji. Meanwhile, I was kneeling in gravel, shirt sticking to my back, hand throbbing, felt less like a partner and more like free roadside assistance. Once the donut was finally on, we limped the car back onto the road, drove us to a gas station, aired it up, told myself. At least we were rolling again. Back at the Airbnb that afternoon, I finally said something. Told Jess I felt a little, I don't know, used? Like I was carrying everything. Driving, paying, fixing, and she barely noticed. Said it was starting to feel less like a trip together, and more like I was the one running it for her. She raised an eyebrow, leaned back on the couch, didn't even look guilty. "Well, you're the one who wanted to be the stable one, right?" I tried to explain it wasn't about stability, it was about balance. Told her it was actually exhausting always being the one swiping the card, handling the problems, how people think it's easy, but it piles up. Money, responsibility, pressure, until it weighs on you like a second job. Jess didn't flinch, just gave me this half smile. Guys have always wanted me, and they never complained about taking care of things. Then she tilted her head. So if you want to be the dominant one here, I don't see why you can't match them. Her words stung more than I wanted to admit, like she'd peeled back the curtain and told me straight out, this is what men deal with, and no one cares. But she didn't mean it like that. Right? She couldn't have. My throat tightened. I didn't know what to say back. I just nodded, told myself I was overthinking it. Maybe she was right. Maybe if I wanted this to work, I had to prove I could handle it. So when she said we should head out for the concert that night, I smiled like nothing was wrong. That night, we headed out for the concert. Packed venue, shoulder to shoulder, air hot and sticky. I told myself it'd be fun, that this was what Jess wanted. Maybe this would be the moment it all felt worth it. We squeezed toward the middle of the crowd, Jess dancing a little, hair brushing my cheek, her smile lit up in the strobe lights. I was starting to relax when it happened. A drunk guy stumbled back into her, elbow caught her shoulder hard. She yelped, almost lost her balance. Without thinking, I stepped forward, put my arm out. "Hey man, watch it, give us some space." Palms up, trying to stay calm but firm. Reflex, right? I'm the protector. That's what everyone joked about. That's what any man would have done in her books, right? The guy muttered something like, "My bad," and moved, but before I could even process it, security was there. Flashlight in my face, wristband tugged. "Madame, back up or you're out." Like I was the aggressor. Like I'd caused the problem. Jess tugged my arm, eyes wide, not in worry, but embarrassment. I froze, nodded, backed off like I'd been caught misbehaving, heart hammering, cheeks burning, everyone around us staring for a second before the music swallowed it. I spent the rest of the set stiff, barely moving. Jess leaned close at one point and whispered, "You made a scene." Not, "Thanks," not, "Are you okay?" Just that. I bought her a bottle of water. After, $7 for lukewarm plastic, then a tour tee she said was cute, 60 swiped on my card. Told myself it was worth it to salvage the night, but my chest felt hollow. On the way out, I mumbled an apology, said maybe I'd overreacted. Jess stared at me and said, "I just need someone chill, not someone who escalates things." The words stung worse than security's flashlight. Protector when it's convenient, liability when it's messy. Wasn't that the truth? We drove back to the Airbnb in silence, Jess scrolling her phone, humming along to a playlist, me gripping the wheel, the donut tire rattling under us every few miles, like a reminder of how flimsy this whole situationship thing felt. The next morning we packed up the car, air tense but silent. I carried the bags, loaded the trunk, made sure nothing got left behind. Jess took selfies on the porch, captioned "Weekend Reset" like we hadn't spent half of it arguing. The drive back was quiet except for the rattle of the donut tire and her playlist filling the gaps. Despite everything, the Airbnb complaints, the flat tire, the awkward concert, I told myself it was just rocky at the start. Relationships take work, right? I figured if I kept showing up, kept steady, we'd eventually find something that worked for us. When we finally pulled up to her place, she didn't even wait in the car with me, just grabbed her tote, leaned through the window and said, This was fun, but I don't think we should keep seeing each other. My chest sank. I asked if she was serious. She shrugged. Yeah, I just don't feel that spark. I stammered, asked about everything we'd just done, the concert, the trip, the plans. She laughed. You're taking it too seriously. That's your problem. I swallowed hard, but one thing slipped out before I could stop myself. Wait, weren't we supposed to split the cost of the trip? The tolls, gas, Airbnb, concert tickets, they were all still sitting on my card. Jess stopped, turned back with the coldest look I'd seen all weekend. Wow, really? You're gonna nickel and dime me after everything? God, you sound like a cheapskate. If you were actually confident, you wouldn't even bring it up. My throat went dry. I tried to explain it wasn't about the money, it was about fairness, but she cut me off. Oh, so now that you don't get what you want, suddenly you're worried about equality? If you're this salty, then yeah, I definitely don't want to see you romantically. With that, she slammed the door and walked inside, not even a glance back. I sat there for a full minute, hands locked on the steering wheel, heat burning behind my eyes. The bank app notification buzzed on my phone, pending charges still sitting there, waiting to clear. I wanted to scream, but all I could do was drive home, donut tire still rattling like a joke at my expense. When I got back, Edward was in the kitchen making coffee. He looked up, smirked immediately. Back so soon? Let me guess. It didn't go how you thought. I dropped my bag, told him it wasn't like that. Jess just wasn't the right fit. He raised an eyebrow. Did she at least split the costs? I stayed quiet too long, and that was his answer. He shook his head. Man, you basically played the role every guy complains about. I snapped, told him he was wrong. Men only complain because they're weak, because they expect things from women. This wasn't proof of anything. It was just bad luck, that's all. I just picked the wrong girl. That didn't mean the whole system was unfair. Edward sighed, muttered, "Keep telling yourself that," and went back to his coffee. I stared at the floor, chest hollow, whispering to myself, "It's not the same. It can't be the same." Right?